Vanakkam, konnichiwa, and good day, mate. Today it's time to start building this building. And I'm going to start by prepping my corner columns as well as my header. Notice this pile is getting smaller. I think I've got exactly what I need underneath this tarp. I've got 4 2x10s here that I think are going to be just about long enough for the 2 headers. These were actually longer boards sticking out from this pile when I first stacked it up, and I kind of cut off the ends. So they're not exactly 9 feet, but just shy of it. And for our 9-foot building, that's going to be just fine. With the corner posts going in and some wall sections, I should be fine with less than 9-foot headers. As I'm setting aside materials for this build, I'm cleaning them up and then stacking them in the shed so they stay nice and dry. Alright, those are my 4 headers. Now on to my posts. My headers are going to be supported by 4x4 corner posts, but I only have one 4x4. So I'm actually going to build up some posts using some 2x4s. To give this a little bit more structural support than the 4x4, I'm going to be stacking 3 layers of 2x4, giving me in effect a 4x6. I'm going to fasten them together with some screws and construction adhesive. And this is actually going to allow me to use some smaller pieces of 2x4 that I've salvaged. As long as I overlap my seams really well and use enough screws, this should be plenty of structural support. I'm also going to go ahead and leave room for my 2x10 header. I'm not exactly sure how tall my posts are going to be yet. I need to get them in place and get a visual reference. So I'm going to allow myself enough length on this post to adjust. Of course, I'm using 2.5-inch star drive deck mate screws. I'll switch to 3.5-inch screws when I add the third 2x4. Deckmate is not a sponsor, but I love Star Drive. It's been my go-to of late. That said, I would gladly accept them as a sponsor for this channel. I use a lot of fasteners, that's for sure. The next board I'm going to use actually uses a ledger or something and had a bunch of nails in it. I just drove them backwards and left them in place. I'll use them as part of the attachment for this 2x4. Switching to 3.5-inch deck mate screws. Now that the screws are holding the board where I want it to, I'm going to put the nails in. 2 posts are accounted for, 2 more to make. If you've been watching this series from the beginning, when this was one massive hoard of materials, I wanted you to see this happen. I am going to stash a few of these 2x6s into this pile, but they will probably become the rafters for this building. But these 4 2x4s will become my last 2 posts. But this is what I really wanted you to see. Whew, not a moment too soon. As I was working that pile down, the termites were working their way up. I am happy to see this ground. I hope you are as well, if you've been seeing this pile get smaller and smaller. But for now, I've got the posts and headers done, plus the joist boxes and the sit panel are completed. It's time to head over to the job site. Gloves, JW. I'm thinking I can balance all three of these on the wheelbarrow. Wish me luck. I think I'm gonna strap this down just to be safe. No heavier than a big old wheelbarrow full of dirt, just a little top heavy. And strapping it down is gonna be the right way to make sure this doesn't slide off. Dun 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 dun. I love it when a plan comes together. I'm going to take all the forms off the footings. This one's a little special. I had some extra cement when I was pouring this last footing, and it happened to be 9/11, so I did a little 9/11 marker here beside the footing. That was actually the night that Scott had that big band concert here, which was actually a 9/11 tribute. My forms got the job done. That date will tell you how long my concrete's been curing. Not fully cured yet, but it's got plenty of strength for me to set the joist boxes on. As long as my top is level, I'll screw this together right here along the top, and then as I raise it up, this seam will close up and I can fasten along the bottom. Train's here. I'm gonna start my leveling with some salvaged bricks here at this footing. This is the highest one. This particular footer is also gonna be hidden by the deck, so I'm not worried about the visible difference from the posts that will be in all the other spots. I'm curious how the pros do this. This is definitely a little rickety. Need to adjust this end box down a little bit. And I leveled the third box in the same way, and then screwed the boxes together. The my boxes connected and leveled with temporary posts, I'm gonna go back and measure for my permanent posts. The building is gonna sit on these 6x6 posts, and I've got several scraps as well as a long piece that I got from the coal bin years ago. Been saving it for a project just like this. I'm gonna get on my measurements here and then go back to the shed and cut the legs to size. I'm gonna use this 1.5 inch 2x material to set the depth for my blade. Then I'm going to reset the depth and cut off the other half of this rabbet. This will provide a ledge for the joist box to sit on two sides, and then a chunk of wood behind that I can screw into. I'm just going to do this type of setup for the corner posts. The center posts will be flat on the top. I'm also being cautious to cut to this side of my line. Normally my saw will take a kerf out this way, but I'd end up with a post that's short. So I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna cheat my kerf to this side of the line. My maximum blade depth can't reach all the way through this post, so I'm gonna hand saw off the rest. Kit, you'll be impressed, I'm using a hand saw. I'm going to give myself a clean edge to work with on the long post. I'm going to cut these two sides here because I definitely want that big split in the back. Booyah.
Howdy-ho, neighbor.
Hey there, Gary.
What's all the sound noises that going over here?
Well, I'm making a tiny studio for music on Main Street.
A tiny studio. Wow.
This will be specifically for the soundboard.
Oh.
In fact, I've gotten rid of one whole pile of wood.
Wow. Do you feel a sense of loss?
Actually, I feel a sense of reuse.
All right, good to talk to you and check up with you.
You too, Gary. See you
Take
next
care.
time.
Bye.
All right, there are my 7 legs because I've got one footing with the bricks on it. So now it's time to go install. I'm gonna prioritize centering the leg under the joist boxes versus on the footing. I'll square it up to the footings when I'm done. I'm going to unscrew my temporary legs and screw these 4 legs in. The center posts are going to get toe-nailed in on the inside. The mosquitoes know I'm here. And I did the same thing with the 4 legs on the backside. Of course, that's when my battery decides to go. The last one. Let me see if I can't trick it. No such luck. I'll put that in later. My building is sitting a little squirrely to the footers, so I'm gonna lift it up and pivot. A quick recheck of level, and I'll need to do a little shimming to make this perfect, but I'm happy with how well my measurements translated into the legs being a good fit. That's not bad. I'm gonna check this corner to quarter and see how I'm doing on square. Holy cow, it's 1/8 of an inch off. I can't believe that. And I also can't believe I don't have the subfloor on already. I had high expectations for what I was gonna be able to accomplish today, which is usually what happens with me. I don't have a realistic sense of how long things are gonna take. Plus, when I stop to think and figure, that just adds to the time as well. The mosquitoes are getting bold now. Landing on my hands. I can see a little wave along this side. It's really just this, just that center portion there that's making that off. I'm gonna wait and rack that back into place when I add the subfloor. And that's gonna have to happen in next week's video. I only had one build day this week, and I've used it all putting these joists in place and cutting the legs. But I'm really happy with how this looks. I'm happy with how it sits on the footers. Overall, I'm just smiling. Whew. All right, well, I am worn out, but it's a good kind of fatigue. The kind that tells you did a hard day's worth of work. Special thanks to my patrons and members for helping make these videos possible. Thank you to all of you who leave great comments and suggestions and letting me know that you're sticking around for this story. I'm not sure how many videos are left in this series. We're just gonna have to see how the improvisation plays out. Scott calls it jazz carpentry.
Jazz carpentry.
As always, my mission here at Green Shorts is to help you see green so you can be green, and save a little green by doing it yourself. I'm saving a lot of green by using reclaimed lumber to build this tiny studio. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Saturday.